One of the great things about being an adventure racer is we get to see places that our neighbours never get to, whether it's the mountains, into the sea or in the rivers. We get to see nature at its best. It's late February, maybe early March before you're watching this. You mightn't think there's a lot going on, but stick around and we're going to show you 5 things that you can see outdoors this time of the year. One of the first plants we see flowering in woodlands at this time of the year is Lesser Celandine. I'm not sure if there's a Greater Celandine, but this one is certainly a very interesting plant. So if we look at one here, we can see it's got this lovely kind of yellow flower that just peeks up from this cluster of green leaves. It's very, very distinctive. The leaves are apparently very high in vitamin C. Haven't tried them before. Not bad. I'd have it in a salad or in a sandwich, no problem. I've got this fantastic aroma of coconut coming at me as I run along here. And the reason is that over this cliff, there's a huge array of this particular plant. We know it locally as furze. Where you come from, it might be gort, or if you're further north in Ireland, I think it's whin. And it's got this beautiful aroma. It's coconut. It's the closest thing to a coconut you can imagine, and it's just coming into flower at the moment. It peaks late March, early April, and it's a key species for early pollinators. So bumblebees in particular, but also things like our honeybees and that rely on this at this time of the year. And this is a tree that you can look out for this time of the year. It's the hazel, and if we look a little closer here, we can see the catkins. And hazelnuts are very, very important in Irish culture. If we look at some of the annals from the monasteries over the last 1,500 years, they're famous for their brevity. But one of the things they mention every year almost without fail was whether it was a good nut year or a bad nut year. And by nuts they meant hazelnuts. And invariably if it was a bad nut year, in the following year's annals, they mentioned the fact that there was a famine. So they were a really important food source for Irish people going back 1,500 years. These are the catkins. These are the male side of the plant. There's a smaller orange female part as well. But these are very, very prominent at this time of the year. So keep an eye out for them. It's a very common tree. You should see it in your area. One of the other things that you can see this time of the year is frog spawn. There's a little couple of clumps of it here over my shoulder. It's a little too wet for me to walk in there. You can just see the little ripples on top of the water, and it's literally everywhere if you know where to look for it at the moment. In fact, this particular area here, there's a road, and I had to lift some that was laid actually on the road, and I put it in here a few days ago. So keep an eye out for it. We're just coming out of the season for it, but you might see it in your area. We're almost into March, and you may have heard the expression as mad as a March hare. I was lucky enough this morning to see a couple of hares in the hill behind me here, and I see them here every single year. Their hormones are going crazy at the moment. The males are looking to get together with the female, so much so in fact that they'll fight with each other. And sometimes you'll even see the female trying to fend them off. There's that many of them coming at her. They're a unique Irish species. They've been here, some of the biologists estimate, for up to 60,000 years. And the species here in Ireland is just found here on Ireland, and interestingly in the island of Mull off Scotland. Nobody's quite sure how they got to Mull, but that's where they're found. One of the more interesting things you may notice at this time of the year when you're out for your adventure race training is that many of the wildflowers are yellow. These here are daffodils. While they're a garden variety, they tend to naturalise, and you'll see them along the hedgerows, etc., etc. The current theory among biologists is that why so many of the flowers are yellow at this time of the year is that it helps them stand out for pollinators. There's so few flowers out at the moment that they need to be found by the few pollinators that are currently out, and the yellow helps them pop. As we move into the later months of the year, you'll see a lot of blues instead. Come on, Fluffy. Come on, Fluffy.